Hello, my name is Sofia Abedova. I am lecturer of international business, and today we discuss economic integration and its impact of international business. The purpose of our lesson today is to consider the main forms of economic integration and the impact of economic integration on the activities of company. Okay, let me start. We have three questions: forms of economic integration, impact of economic integration on activity of the business, and I'll tell you about major trade blocks. Key concepts are free trade area, customs union, common market, political union, and like this. Okay. Forms of economic integration. Regional trading blocks are different from each other according to types and functions. The most important characteristic of the trading bloc from the point of view of international companies is the degree of economic integration between bloc members. This is because the degree of integration affects export and investment opportunities of companies in the process of doing business, both with member countries of the regional trade bloc and with countries which are not part of it. There are six main forms of regional economic integration. Let me start from preferential trade area. Preferential trade area is the first step towards making a full-fledged RTB exist when countries of a particular geographical region agree to decrease or eliminate maybe tariffs on selected goods and services imported from other members of the area. Not for all goods, only for selected goods and selected services. Second one is free trade area. Trade between economic entities included the composition of the free trade zone, stimulated by the elimination of trade barriers, custom tariffs, quotas, and other non-tariff restrictions. As an example of such an agreement can be called an AFTA. We will speak about it later. In accordance with this agreement, reduced tariff and non-tariff restriction on trade between Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America. So this policy of free trade allows to eliminate trade barriers between the participants of the free trade zone. At the same time, each participant free trade zones can conduct their own trade policy on attitude to countries outside this zone. Okay. As a result, many participants in the zone's free trade is adversely affected by the process that has been named the trade deflection. Trade deflection what it means. For example, when countries that are not part of free zone trade change the directions of the export flow of goods in such a way that it passes through a country that is part of the zone free trade with the lowest restriction on foreign trade. For example, suppose Canada uses high tariffs or quotas the import of a product from countries outside the free trade zone. Let's also assume that the United States has low limits on imports of the same product from countries that are not part of this zone. So the country non-zone members can first direct their export goods to USA and then re-export these goods to Canada. Countries participating of the free trade zone are interested in order to prevent the violation of trade relations with countries not part of this zone due to the deviation of trade flows. Exactly, therefore, most free trade agreements contain rules determine the rules of origin, the origin of goods. In these rules, detail describes the condition under which the goods can be classified as products realized either the enterprises of the member states of the free trade zone or in countries that are not part of it. For example, according to the rules of origin goods taken by an FTA, a product might obtain preferential customs regime only if it has been collected or processed in Mexico, Canada, or the United States. Third one is customs union. Customs Union has no tariff barriers between members, plus they agreed to a common external tariff against non-members. Effectively, the members are allowed to negotiate as a single bloc with third parties, including other trading blocs or with the WTO. International trade carried out within the framework of Customs Union based on a combination of measures such as elimination restriction on internal trade between the member countries of the Customs Union and maintain a common policy in the sphere of foreign trade of these countries in relation to countries that are not part of the Union. Common market. What is this? The common market is the third stage on the way to universal economic development integration. Like members of Customs Union, members of the common market eliminate restriction on domestic trade between common market countries and conduct a common policy in the sphere of foreign trade in these, of these countries with countries outside into its structure. However, the countries of the common market have advanced in the direction of economic integration one step further by removing the bans, embargoes, yes, on the movement of factors production, such as labor, capital, and technology, within the general framework of markets. Employees may move from their home country to any other common country market and apply their knowledge and skills here in the member of common market. Okay? It is assumed that when this level of productivity should necessarily increase in all countries' common market, as factors of production can be placed without restriction, it is where they can ensure maximum profit. As an example of common market is the European Economic Area, formed by as a result of the signing of an agreement between the EU members. Next one is Economic Union. Economic Union ensures full integration economies of two or more countries, in addition to removing internal restriction trade, conducting a common policy in the sphere of foreign trade and removal of restriction on the movement of factors of production between the countries. That make up the Economic Union requires its members to coordinate the economic policies, monetary, maybe fiscal policies in the field of taxation, as well as social security programs for the purpose of unification of the economy of the member states of the Union into a single whole. For example, the UE in this moment has a single currency, euro, in these countries. Political union. Political union is a complete political and economic union. Integration of two or more maybe countries to enable these countries to act as a whole. An example of political union can serve as the new state, the United States of America, as a result of integration 13 disparate colonies operating under articles of the Confederation. The agreement on the formation of Confederation of 13 states of the United States. Question number 2 is the impact of economic integration on activity of business. The formation of regional alliances to support international trade liberalization is an important feature of the post-Second World War environment. More than 100 agreements established such unions are currently in force, although not all of them, are of great practical importance. These agreements are open to international companies, a lot of business opportunities, but at the same time, they have a number of challenges. You can see on the slide the advantages of regional trading blocks. First one is the foreign direct investment, FDI. So FDI suggests in these blocks and it benefits the economies of participating nations. Second is the economies of scale. The larger markets created result in lower costs due to mass manufacturing of products locally. These markets form economics of scale. Competition. Trade blocs bring manufacturers from various economies, resulting in greater competition. The competition promotes efficiency within terms. Trade effects. As tariffs are removed, the cost of imports the cost of import decreases. Yes, demand change. Consumers become the king. Yes, and market efficiency. The increased consumption, the change in demand, and a greater amount of products result is an efficient market. In this slide you can see disadvantages of regional trade blocs. What are they? Regionalism. First one is trading blocs have bias in favor of their member countries. These economies establish tariffs and quotas that protect intra-regional trade from outside forces. Rather than following the World Trade Organization, regional trade bloc countries participate in regionalism. Loss of sovereignty. A trading bloc, particularly when it becomes a political union, leads to partial loss of sovereignty of the member nations. Concessions. The ATB countries want to let non-member firms gain domestic market access only after levying taxes. Countries that join a trading bloc needs to make some concessions. And interdependence, it's the problem, yes, because the countries of a bloc become interdependent on each other. Natural disaster, conflicts, or revolution in one country may have adverse effect on the economies of all participants of this bloc. From the point of view of an individual company, regional integration is like a double-edged sword, yes? Because the reduction of tariffs within the regional trade blocs open the market for all the countries that make up these blocs for the production of all companies in these countries. As a result of economies of scale obtained on the basis of the expansion on the consumer segment in this trade unit, companies can reduce the average cost of production and distribution products. This cost structure increases competitiveness companies in the international market outside these trade blocs. For example, the activities of many Canadian industrial companies, it is based on the free trade agreement signed between the two countries, Canada and the United States of America. The management of these companies was convinced that the fact that easier access to a large US market will increase lots of product manufactured by Canadian companies and thus reduce average costs and increase the competitiveness of Canadian goods in the international market as part of the free trade area and beyond. However, the removal of trade barriers also opens up domestic market, yes, for foreign companies. And the regional trade bloc can also attract foreign direct investments from countries that are not part of this bloc, as companies from non-member countries seek to take advantage of the advantages of the resident member countries of the bloc for the placement of their production facilities in the territory of the countries which are part of this union. Yes? For example, many multinational corporations from non-European countries, including General Mills, Toyota, and Samsung, actively invest in capital in the countries of the EU, European Union, to take advantage of the benefits of increased European economic integration. These investments improve the productivity of European workers, and they expand the opportunities available to European consumers. On the other parties, the same investment threatens the prosperity of such major European countries, companies like Unilever, or Renault, or maybe Siemens. As a rule, all forms of economic integration benefit the economy countries as a whole, but harm individual industries or groups of citizens this country. Negotiations on economic issues, integration of any type is a rather complicated process. Groups united by special interests and is aware that the signing this or that agreement will harm these interests, trying to speak out against this agreement. In most agreements, there are points that provide for certain exceptions designed to calm off an influential group of domestic companies who have the opposite interests. Third question is a regional trading bloc. There are major trade blocs in current times that have the reputation and will to make a significant impact on international business processes. First one is ASEAN. This union was established on 8th of August 1967 in Bangkok. You can see members of this unit and goals of it. This is a very famous unit, yes. The European Union was founded in 1951 by 6 neighboring states as the European Coal and Steel Community. Over time it became the European Economic Community, then the European Community, and was ultimately transformed into the European Union. This union is the single regional bloc with the largest number of member states, 28. Yes. Mercosur. It was established on 1991 with the Treaty of Ascension. The major languages spoken in this region are Spanish and Portuguese. Members, you can see it. In this moment, Mexico and New Zealand have an observer status in this unit. NAFTA, we spoke about it today. It's the North American Free Trade Agreement, was signed on 1st January 1994 between Canada, Mexico and the United States of America. You can see goals of this unit. Group of 7, the 7 countries, you can see it, yes. So this organization was founded to facilitate shared macroeconomic initiatives by its members in response to the collapse of the exchange rate 1971 during the time of the Nixon shock. You remember it, I think. And about energy crisis and the ensuing recession. GAFTA, GAFTA, Agadir Agreement. Yes, it's about 80% of grain and feed trade in the world take place using GAFTA standard contract forms. And International Monetary Fund, you know, they are working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, was founded in 1960 on the 5 developing oil-producing countries: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. OPEC members control about 70% of the world's oil reserves. They account for 35% of world oil production or half of world oil exports. The proven oil resources of the OPEC countries now amount to, you can see, yes, 1,199.71 billion barrels. And okay, I think we finish. Thank you for your attention. Bye.